Bonjour and welcome to Le Podcast de Philippe. Today, we're going on a deep dive into AI,
Okay.
the kind that could build a whole simulated world.
Yeah.
You can imagine the Matrix, but Google's the one making it.
Hmm.
So we're going to unpack what they're doing, what it could mean for things like entertainment or, research and
Yeah.
obviously all the big questions that come up.
Yeah.
So if you're up for this kind of fascinating look at the future,
Yeah.
maybe a little unnerving,
Oh, for sure.
then buckle up.
It really is something that sparks the imagination, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got Google DeepMind putting together a team to basically create AI that can simulate the physical world.
Wow.
And it's this guy, Tim Brooks, who's leading it. He's got a background from OpenAI where
I've heard of him.
he worked on their video generator, Sora.
Oh, right. Yeah. And it's interesting because this isn't just about
Yeah.
making static models.
Yeah.
They're just about massive simulations that happen in real time,
Real time,
that you
yeah.
can interact with.
E-
And they're building this on top of stuff they already have, like Gemini VO and
Yeah.
Trini,
Yeah.
which I think you'll find interesting is like Google's version of a world model.
Yeah. It's like giving AI the power to imagine and interact with the virtual world, almost like how we do in our own minds.
Right.
And with tech like this, we could be talking about video games that look so real.
Ah.
You can't tell the difference from the real world or interactive films where characters actually react
Yeah.
to your choices as you're making them.
Wow.
That's a whole other level of immersion, right?
Like total immersion.
Yeah.
So entertainment's definitely going to change, but it goes way beyond that.
Oh, absolutely.
What about training robots? Think about it. They could learn complex stuff in these virtual spaces
Yeah,
way faster and safer than messing around in the real world.
definitely.
Yeah.
And ways safer.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about research. Being able to simulate those really complex physical phenomena that could lead to some pretty big breakthroughs in fields like medicine or climate science or even materials engineering.
Like you could model climate change
Yeah.
so accurately or
Exactly.
test new drugs without needing to do physical experiments.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
But okay, how realistic can these simulations really be?
Yeah.
Can they actually capture
Yeah.
the nuances of how humans interact or something unpredictable like
Right.
weather patterns?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's what researchers are working on really hard right now. The goal is to have AI that can understand and model not just the physical laws of the universe, but also how complex human behavior is and all those subtle interactions that make our world what it is.
It's exciting.
It is.
But also a little daunting to think about.
Yeah, a bit.
But before we get too carried away with all the good stuff,
Yeah.
I think we got to talk about the elephant in the room,
Okay.
the potential downsides.
Right. Well, you're right. We do have to think about the ethics of it all.
Yeah.
Like any powerful technology, it can be used for good or for bad.
Yeah.
And it's super important to think about both the
Yeah.
good and the bad that can come with it.
We talked a little about job displacement,
Mm-hmm.
but the articles also bring up this whole copyright issue.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
If these models are trained using stuff that's copyrighted like video game footage or movie scenes, could we be looking at a ton of lawsuits?
It's a real worry and something legal experts are already trying to wrap their heads around.
Right.
The lines between creating something new and just imitating are getting blurry
Yeah.
with AI, and this is just one example of all the tricky legal stuff we're going to have to figure out.
And it's not just about the legal side.
Right.
Think about misinformation and deepfakes.
Oh, yeah.
If AI can make stuff that looks so real,
Mm-hmm.
how do we even know what's real anymore?
Well, that's a major challenge.
Yeah.
We're already seeing people losing trust in what they see online. And AI-generated stuff could make that even worse.
Totally.
We need to get better at telling what's real and what's fake.
Yeah.
And holding the people who make and spread this fake stuff accountable.
It's a lot to take in. It
Mhm.
really makes you realize this isn't just some tech talk.
No.
This is about the future of our society.
Exactly.
The choices we make today are going to have a huge impact for a long time.
They really will.
Yeah,
It's a big responsibility.
it is.
Yeah, it really shows how important it is to be having these talks now while it's all still kind of early, We
Yeah.
can still help shape how it develops and make sure it's used ethically.
For good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of development,
Yeah.
Google's not alone in this, right?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say that we've got articles here about a bunch of other companies working on this same kind of tech.
It's a whole competition out there.
Yeah.
Companies like OpenAI World Labs and Odyssey,
I've heard of those.
they all want to get a piece of this pie.
It's a big pie.
It is a big pie, and it's not just startups and labs either. We've got the big guys like NVIDIA and Autodesk.
Yeah, with the graphics and 3D stuff.
Exactly. They could become major players, too.
So it's like a race to make the most real and, like, sophisticated simulation.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder what's driving all this competition.
Mm.
Is it just a tech thing, or is there more to it?
I think it's a bit of both. You've got that scientific and engineering drive, to push the limits of what AI can do.
We'll push the boundaries.
Right. But there's also the potential to make a lot of money.
Oh, for sure.
Whoever figures out how to make truly realistic simulations, they could totally change industries like entertainment, gaming, healthcare, education.
Right, from how we have fun to how we learn.
Exactly.
And we can't forget about the military applications either.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
They could use these simulations for training soldiers or making new weapon systems.
Right, which is why we need international cooperation and regulation, to make sure it's not used for the wrong reasons.
To make sure it's used for good.
We have to think about the ethics, not just for one company, but globally.
It's like opening Pandora's box.
A little bit, yeah.
But getting back to the companies.
Okay.
What about OpenAI? I feel like they're in the news all the time now with ChatGPT and their image generator, DALL-E.
Well, they're definitely one of the leaders in AI right now.
Yeah.
They've got these really sophisticated models like Sora, which makes photorealistic videos.
I've seen some of that stuff. It's crazy.
It's getting hard to tell what's real and what's AI generated.
Right.
And that has people in film and animation worried about their jobs, as these AI tools get even more powerful and easier to use.
Makes sense. What about World Labs? What's different about them?
Well, they were founded by this really famous AI researcher, Fei Li.
Okay.
And they're focused on developing what they call world models. So these are AI systems that can not only simulate the world, but also understand the rules that make it work.
So it's not just about making things look real. It's about...
Exactly. It's about AI that can reason.
AI that can...
learn, adapt to new situations, solve problems, even predict the future.
That's incredible.
It is. They're taking a much bigger picture approach, They want to build AI that gets the complexity of the real world, even stuff like human behavior and social dynamics.
Wow. Their research could be huge for fields like robotics, economics, even psychology.
Absolutely. It could change everything.
So each of these companies has their own unique angle.
They do.
Their own set of skills they're bringing to this.
And that makes it even more exciting and unpredictable.
It's like we don't know who's going to win this race.
We don't. But one thing's for sure, this AI simulation stuff is going to have a huge impact on our lives.
Which is why we got to stay informed.
Definitely.
As listeners, we have a role to play here.
We do. We have to ask questions to demand transparency from these developers and hold them accountable.
Make sure they're thinking about the ethics.
Exactly. This isn't just building tech, it's shaping a whole new reality.
Yeah, and that's a big responsibility for all of us.
A big responsibility.
It really is.
Yeah.
So we've talked about like all these companies racing to build these crazy simulated worlds.
Oh, yeah.
And like the sheer scale of what they're trying to do.
It is massive.
But now I want to dig into like what it actually means for us, for everyday life.
Yeah. That's the important part, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Like moving past the, woo, cool, to the, so what does this change?
Exactly. And I think one of the biggest things is work.
Yeah, we talked about jobs disappearing.
Right.
But it's bigger than that.
It is. It's like the whole way we work could shift.
Yeah.
What if we're training, designing, even being creative all inside these super realistic simulations?
Right. One of the articles talked about architects designing whole cities in a simulation.
No.
And then using AI to make it like perfect for energy efficiency traffic flow.
Yeah.
All before they even start building anything in the real world.
It's mind-blowing.
It is. And imagine what it could do for education.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what if students could experience history firsthand through these immersive simulations?
Yeah.
Or, like, dissect a virtual human body.
Without the mess.
Without needing a lab. It could totally change how we learn and gain knowledge.
It'd be so much more hands-on.
Right. It's the difference between reading about ancient Rome and actually, like, walking those streets.
Yeah.
Interacting with people, feeling the sun.
You'd really feel like you're there.
Totally. And, of course, we can't forget about entertainment.
Oh, yeah. Entertainment's going to be wild.
Think about video games that are so real.
Uh-huh.
They blur the lines between virtual and reality.
Mm.
Or interactive movies where the story changes based on what you do.
We're like in real time.
It's taking choose your own adventure to a whole new level.
Totally. But with all these possibilities, there's a question that keeps coming up for me.
Okay, what's that?
What happens to our sense of reality?
Oh, that's a good one.
When these simulations get so good, so immersive that we can't really tell the difference between them and the real world.
Right. Like, what is real then?
Exactly. It's a deep question.
Yeah.
It's something philosophers and ethicists are already trying to figure out.
Makes sense.
As this technology keeps advancing, we're going to have to face some really big questions.
What?
About what it means to be human.
Wow.
What is reality? How do we fit into all of this?
That's heavy.
It is. It's important, though.
Yeah. I mean, could we get to a point where people would rather just live in these virtual worlds? You know, escape all the messy stuff of real life?
It's possible, right? It could happen.
Yeah.
And that raises concerns about people becoming isolated.
Right. Addicted.
Yeah, losing touch with the real world.
But then again, it could also be an opportunity to create online spaces that are more fair and inclusive.
Yeah, where everyone can connect.
No matter who they are or where they are.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's kind of both sides of the coin, you know?
It is. It's like any powerful tech.
Right.
There's good and bad.
Yeah.
It all comes down to us.
To how we use it.
Yeah, the values we build into it.
Safeguards we put in place.
Totally. Which is why these conversations are so important.
They really are.
We need everyone to be a part of shaping this future.
Right. We need to think about the tech stuff.
Yeah.
But also the ethics, the impact on society.
This isn't just building some new gadget.
No,
it's like we're building a whole new reality.
That's a good way to put it.
And that's a huge responsibility.
A huge responsibility.
So to wrap things up,
I
want to leave our listeners with this.
Okay.
As these AI worlds become more real, more immersive, more a part of our lives, we have a choice.
We do.
We can just go in the flow, let technology take us wherever.
Right.
Or we can be active.
Shape our own future.
Exactly.
Okay.
We have the power to decide what kind of world we want to live in, both virtual and real.
That's powerful.
It is. So thank you for joining us for this deep dive into AI-powered world simulation.
It's been a pleasure.
Be sure to subscribe to Le Podcast de Philippe on YouTube for more explorations of the world of tech and innovation. And until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep questioning the world around you.